Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Before we begin today's meeting, I'd like to, and it's a pleasure, to introduce our newest board members. Okay, they are two residents, and so if you will indulge me for a second, I will just read a little bio on each one and then afford them an opportunity to make a comment. Okay? So we have Mr. Raymond Miller, and Mr. Miller was appointed to the NYCHA Board in January of 2023 by Mayor Adams. A lifelong NYCHA resident, Mr. Miller has lived at Manhattan's Johnson Houses since 1984 and was previously a resident of Smith Houses, where he grew up. Mr. Miller worked for the New York City Department of Probation for more than 30 years, including 12 years as a supervising probation officer before retiring in 2021. For nearly 20 years, he represented fellow DOP probation officers as a delegate to the United Probation Officers Association. He previously served as a children's services caseworker and as a foster care worker. With his extensive experience in criminal justice, Mr. Miller has an interest in continuing to strengthen the relationship between law enforcement and NYCHA residents as a member of the NYCHA Board. He is also focused on increasing programs and support for senior residents. Mr. Miller has assisted fellow residents with various issues throughout his career and believes the NYCHA Board offers him the opportunity to be a representative for all NYCHA residents. Mr. Miller earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Criminal Justice Planning and Administration from John Jay of Criminal Justice. Please let us welcome Mr. Miller. Would you like to say something?
I just want to say thank you. I'm glad to be here, and I'm a firm advocate of New York City public housing.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Now I would like to introduce Mr. James McCoy. Mr. McCoy was also appointed to the NYCHA Board by Mayor Adams in January of 2023. Mr. McCoy currently resides in Williams Plaza, which is a Brooklyn development that received the comprehensive renovations through the PAC program, that is Permanent Affordability Commitment Together. He has served as a member of the Williams Plaza Resident Association since 2011. Mr. McCoy retired in 2019 after working for more than 3 decades as a surgical technician at various city hospitals. He credits his extensive experience in the medical field with fostering leadership and problem-solving skills, including the ability to make quick decisions in high-stress situations. In addition to his service with the Resident Association, Mr. McCoy sees his role on the NYCHA Board as an opportunity to be a voice for the community, advocating on the needs and concerns of fellow residents. As a resident board member, Mr. McCoy aims to work closely with NYCHA management on generating and implementing policies that represent the priorities and interests of residents. He is also focused on cultivating an atmosphere of inclusion for different cultural and religious groups. Please, let's give him a nice round of applause and welcome him.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to say thank you. I'm here to represent NYCHA. I've been advocating for my community and also for NYCHA for some time now, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now that we have our full board here, we may proceed with the regular calendar. I'd just like to remind everyone to please silence your phones. The presenters as well as board members, please speak into the mic. And if you are not speaking, please have your mics off, okay? Thank you very much. All right, now we'll proceed with the regular calendar. I'd like to first have an adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting for Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now we will move to the chair's comments. Chair, please.
Good morning, everyone. It's very good to be with you this morning and to be at this meeting. I guess I'm struck by the irony that we have a full board and that when I finally step aside on February 10th, we may still be waiting for someone to be named or nominated to the chair position. I just want to share a few things this morning because I wanted to express to all of you that are here, all of you that I have worked with in these past 3.5 years, how absolutely moving that has been for me as a person and a professional. Because if you look at NYCHA from the outside, and you look at the capital need, which I'll talk about in a minute, what is not recognized is how much that deficit impacts every single thing we do and our ability to do it to our fullest capacity. But what I found in being here is almost to a person. Everyone is interested in running at that speed, and everyone is interested in making a contribution. And what that meant was I had a lot to learn, and all of you took the time to teach. Because one of the things I don't think we do well as an institution is teach each other. We tell each other things. We fill out a report or we claim something, but we really actually have to be in a space where we're learning. Where if I'm talking to a caretaker of the property, there's something to learn there. Just as if I was talking to one of the neighborhood administrators or borough VPs. Everyone has something to share about how this place works. And that has been an experience that I have really treasured because it's taught me how to think about things in a way that is particular to being here, but supportive of your ideas as well. So if we talk about NYCHA the institution, there's still a lot more work to do. The plenty of structural reforms that grew from the HUD agreement we signed back in 2019, many still have to be put in place. The only advice I have with that is don't stop. See, if bureaucracy loves to pause and reflect and consider or do a report, don't stop, just go. The Capitol, we've made great strides in trying to establish the tools to raise the Capitol. RAD is still humming along at a great pace. The trust, we hope, will be up and running in the near term. And once the Capitol starts, the investment has profound impact. Because you can say, yes, this investment is going to give an apartment a new look, the property an extended life. It's going to change NYCHA completely. Once the trust starts pumping out rehabilitative units, nothing about that unit will be like the work you're doing now. It'll all be different. It'll be completely changed. It'll be better to repair, easier to repair, and each building starts at work order 0. So there's going to be an opportunity there once that capital starts to flow to really understand how the institution has to struggle just to stay even versus an institution that's well capitalized that will change the work and how hard you have to work. And the last thing I wanted to say, I've enjoyed and had some both incredible and difficult interactions since I've been here, but I think NYCHA can succeed. And there's not that many people out there who believe that because the conditions of the buildings are so difficult. But you have to believe that. You have to have a vision in your head of an institution where you're working that isn't like the institution that is here today. And I talked to a lot of residents about that. Residents have very particular concerns and issues, so property focused or neighborhood focused. But they have a voice in all this, which is why the trust was set up to allow a vote-in process. So this has been a tremendous opportunity for me personally, and you shared your time with me and listened, and I can't thank you enough for being just great partners as we work through this very difficult 2.5 years. And if I had a top hat on, I would tip and say thank you very much. And I think I'll stop there, but many of you have my number. It's not going to change. If you need anything, just call. But thank you very much.
I'd like to give an opportunity to our interim CEO to say a few words before we go to the other board members.
Thank you so much. Greg, Chair, you came to NYCHA at a very critical moment in our history. Your vision, your dedication, your unwavering support of your employees, your positivity around what NYCHA can be, is something that we will hold with us as you move on to this next chapter in your life, and as we move on to this next chapter in NYCHA's. We are forever grateful for everything that you've done. You've assembled a wonderful, dedicated, determined team. And I will do my best to carry through on all of the commitments you've made, and your vision, HUD's vision, the city's vision for NYCHA. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to open up to board members. We can start with the vice chair if you have a few words.
Chairman Russ, or as we love to call it, Greg. It has been an honor and a privilege to work with you on this board. Not only as my fellow board members feel the way I feel about you, but also as your vice chairman, you've given me the opportunity to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do in a different administration. But now, because of that, I've been able to move, do things, roll up my sleeves and get out there, with the residents that we so dearly want to help. And so, for that, I thank you. You came into this organization, or this agency, and now that you're leaving it a lot better off than it was when you first got here. So for that, I thank you, not only on behalf of the board, but the residents of public housing. The moves that you made should have been made years ago. Whatever the case may be, you made it. Now we're moving forward, hopefully to a much brighter future as an agency here in the city. I'm gonna miss our talks. Definitely gonna miss our talks.
And the cigars. So.
And the cigars, absolutely. But again, I have mixed emotions. I'm sorry to see you go, but I congratulate you on what you did and where you're going. And I'm sure wherever you wind up, you're gonna be an asset to that agency, company, or whatever form or name they wanna use for it, okay? I think, I'll leave it at that, I don't wanna get too mushy. And, cause today I'm blind and deaf, so I didn't take care of what I should have taken care of this morning. And Murphy's Law took hold. But I'm gonna have Paula Gavin,
Thank you.
present you with something that, in behalf of the board. And it's just a form of our simple way of saying thank you.
Thank you.
Paula?
Paula, please.
I'm gonna hand off to Emma first.
Okay.
Oh, I'll keep it brief, but I don't know if folks know this or not, but there was an all-nighter that happened, which eventually led to the selection of Greg Russ several years back. It's one of my more memorable nights in City Hall, which is saying a lot from my previous. And it was totally worth it. I would have done 7 all-nighters in a row if it meant leading to Greg Russ, because I agree with Victor entirely. I think I can't do as well with your words, but it has been an honor and a privilege to get to both work with you from the venue of City Hall in my previous life and now with this esteemed board. I was thinking about, I'm in higher ed right now at the moment, and I get to work with students, which is a delight. And I was thinking about what I would describe to them as a leader who rejects bureaucracy and the status quo, and is able to keep their eyes on the horizon, even in the most adverse circumstances, and create a sense of team and grow leaders. And I think you are that person, you are the epitome of it. So I double down on everything everyone said. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Two very difficult acts to follow, I might say. I always say to people when they ask me about being on the NYCHA board and Chair Russ, I always say, he is so easy to like, he is so easy to admire, and he's so easy to follow. So I would just like to say, Greg, that your authenticity is just beyond words. It's always there. You have a true north, you have a vision, you stick with it. your expertise, we all know, is just so strong. And it makes it easy to follow you because you share that expertise. You deliver results, which is, I think, important, but you just simply care. I mean, you care about the staff, you care about your board, you care about the residents, and I think that comes through in every single thing you do. So for that, I join with Victor and Emma, just to say to you, thank you. We'll miss you, but we know that your memory and your impact is forever. So with that, I have a tiny little thing from us to
thank
you, so that you don't forget the Big Apple.
Look at that. Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate all the very kind words, and a lot of you, as I said, you have my numbers. Please do not hesitate to text me. Once you're here, you're always here. Speaking. So if there's something that you just need to have a listener on the other side, I'd be happy to do that. Because honestly, since we run the largest housing authority in the country, these steps are national steps. When we choose today to vote on these contracts, for example, if we aggregate the funding, you're in the percentage points of the national appropriations for both capital and operating, just here at the table. So, anytime you need something, just let me know, and I appreciate your kind words and all the work that you do here on the board and all the work that you all do out there in the field. Thank you.
Being that there are no members in the public wishing to provide public comment, we may proceed with the regular calendar. I would ask presenter number 1.
Good morning, my name is Anika Lascott Martinez. I am the Chief Financial Officer and I'm here to present Board Item 1 for your consideration. Item 1 requests authorization to amend the requirement contract awarded to East River for the purchase and delivery of ultra-low sulfur heating oil with 5% biodiesel authorized by Board Resolution 17-7/26-16 and is subsequently amended for a 5-year term to extend the term for an additional 12 months, and to ratify a contract capacity increase to this requirement contract awarded to East River to increase the not-to-exceed amount in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the 5-year term and the extended 12-month term, which commenced on October 1, 2017, and is continuing through September 30th, 2023. And just a quick word on the contract capacity increase. We're finding that the increase is due to a few key factors. The first being an increase in the price differential in the contract from 35 cents a gallon to 61 cents a gallon due to the increase in the vendor's delivery costs. There's also a projected increase in the number of gallons to be delivered due to higher usage of fuel oil at the developments in Manhattan, and a projected increase in the price per gallon due to changes in the global market prices for oil. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Keith Grossman, I'm here to present item number 2 and 3, with your permission, sir. Given that they are, the same vendor, I present them as one, I know sometimes you like me to do both.
If we can follow it, we can present. Go ahead.
Yeah, and before we begin, not for the minutes, but in honor of Craig's last pledge. He taught me many things, style being one of them. So thank you, sir, and I appreciate you.
See, but a day like today, you need
You don't need the heavy coat, but you can get by with another layer.
Chest and hands are warm.
Yeah.
That's it. So thank you for that. So I'm here to present items number 2 and 3. This is an indefinite, an IDIQ contract for RJ Bruno Inc. Both items are for that. This IDIQ contract provides for plumber services for heating. The scope of work includes but is not limited to furnishing all labor, material, equipment, insurance, and incidentals required to perform tasks related to the field of plumber services for heating, which include the repair and/or replacement of defective plumbing parts associated with boilers, hot water heaters, heat exchangers, pumps, boiler room plumbing systems, and tank room plumbing systems. All corroded and plugged up drain piping must be replaced, and all piping material used under this IDIQ contract must be new. RJ Bruno must obtain all necessary permits and must request all necessary inspections from jurisdictions having authority, specifically New York City Department of Buildings, New York City Department of Environmental Protection, and New York City Department of Transportation. Through this IDIQ contract, the authority guarantees to order quantity of work with a minimum value of $50,000 and is under no obligation to order more than the minimum value, but may order no more than $17 million. That's for both contracts. Same minimum and the authority will order work by issuing a work authorization to RJ Bruno. A vendor name check dated October 24th for both contracts was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Department, which found no issue to preclude award. This IDIQ contract was prepared for bid and awarded by the Supply Management and Procurement Department. The labor hours on each contract is 4,000 hours, and the Section 3 requirement is 25%, which is 1,000 hours. Any questions?
Item number 4 and 5.
Why did I have to follow this guy?
See, if you had the vest, it'd be okay.
I know, I would have worn a vest if I was thinking, you know.
Jimmy, I have a spare one, I would have known I was wrong.
Didn't get the memo.
Good morning, Chairman Russ, Vice Chair Gonzalez, members of the board. Welcome, new board members, McCoy and Miller, looking forward to working with you. My name is James Secreto. I'm the Vice President of the Office of Public Safety. But just before I start, I don't want to get mushy. It's an emotional day. But Mr. Russ, I want to thank you, for all that you've done for NYCHA as a product of the Albany Houses in Brooklyn. I appreciate you, things that you've accomplished. And I want to particularly thank you for hiring me 16 months ago, taking a chance on me, and for that I thank you. And in the words of Lisa Bowerhine, I'll be forever grateful.
All right, thanks, Chief, appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, now to the business at hand. I'm presenting resolution number 23-1/26-4. The subject is authorization to ratify contract capacity increase to the agreement with FJC Security Services, Inc. Authorization is requested to ratify a contract capacity increase to this agreement with FJC for security guard and fire watch services authorized by Board Resolution 19-9/25-24 for an initial 3-year term with 2 1-year renewal options to increase the not to exceed amount of $18,073,682.44. This increase is needed in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 3-year term and the first 1-year renewal option term, which commenced on November 19th, 2019, and is continuing through November 18th of 2023. This agreement provides for unarmed uniformed security guards at various senior developments citywide and central office locations. In addition, FJC will provide fire watch services as necessary at any authority senior development. The security guards will enhance the safety and security of the residents and employees at these locations by detecting and deterring criminal activity and reporting any incidents to the proper law enforcement agencies and the authorities' Office of Safety and Security. In accordance with the proposed agreement, all security guards provided by FJC must be licensed as fire guard, requiring a certificate of fitness to be issued by the New York City Fire Department as required by the authority at locations requiring such coverage as a result of fire protection systems maintenance. The contract capacity increase is required to allow the authority to continue to process outstanding invoices for services rendered, as well as the capability of providing the essential service of protecting the lives of the authority residents and employees citywide without any gaps in services. Pursuant to Board Resolution 19-9/25-24, the letter of award was issued for a 3-year term which commenced November 19, 2019 and continued through November 18th of 2022. The approval to issue this contract capacity increase to this agreement prior to board approval was received by the Supply Management and Procurement Department from the Chief Procurement Officer on November 4th of 2022. This contract capacity increase is required to increase the not to exceed amount in order to continue to process outstanding invoices for services rendered and to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 3-year term and first 1-year renewal option. The next 3 pages are a list of the senior developments, of which there are about 66, and the central offices are on the page 6. There are 5 such locations that the guards are responsible for. We also currently, those fire guards are at 153 sites right now, and that's usually 24/7 coverage. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I had one. So I have a regular guard, that guard's gonna have a certificate of work so they can do the fire watch.
Yeah.
So if I have a building where there's a shift for security and also a fire watch required, is that the same person or 2 different people?
Yeah, 2 people will be
Okay,
on that post.
all right. It's one for the security part and one for the fire watch part. Okay.
Yeah, one of the things that I would like to see if it's possible is for there to be a distinction,
Yeah,
because I think it confuses people.
Right.
And one of the fire guards was even assaulted, hit in the head with a baseball bat actually, because somebody thought he was a security guard.
oh,
You know, and he was actually a fire.
okay.
Any other questions? Sir?
Yes, I do. I understand that in some locations, it's a 24-hour, is it 7 days a week, 5 days a week? What exactly are the hours? I know it
No.
depends on the
This is
development.
the fire guards or the senior building?
This is for the senior buildings as far as the security is concerned.
The senior buildings there's a guard in each, it's not 24/7. There are 6 that we've doubled the coverage. We put 16 hours at these, the problematic buildings, we doubled the coverage, made it 16 hours. The ones where there is 1 guard, we usually put it at a time problematic again. So maybe 8 at night to 4 in the morning, or 10 at night to 6 in the morning. But right now, we only have the resources for 1 guard.
So basically, wherever there's activity, that's where we're putting the security guard.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Now, next one is resolution, this is item number 5, resolution 23-1/26. This one is authorization of contract capacity increase to the agreement with FJC Security Services, Inc. Authorization is requested to approve a contract capacity increase to this agreement with FJC for security guard and fire watch services authorized by Board Resolution 19-9/25-24 and is subsequently amended for an initial 3-year term with 2 1-year renewal options to increase the not to exceed amount of $25,980,922 This increase is needed in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the first one-year renewal option term, which commenced on November 19th of 2022 and is continuing through November 18th of 2023. This is Section 3 hiring plan was approved, and projected of Section 3 new hires will be 156 people, not hours. This agreement provides for, again, unarmed uniformed security guards at various senior developments citywide and central locations as well. In addition, FJC will provide the fire watch services as necessary. The security guards will enhance the safety and security of the residents, employees at these locations by detecting and deterring criminal activity and reporting such to law enforcement and to the authorities, officer safety and security. In accordance with the proposed agreement, all security guards, again, will be fire guards requiring a certificate of fitness issued by the fire department as required by the authority at locations requiring such coverage as a result of fire protection systems maintenance. And just if I could explain, this is where the fire suppression systems are compromised, either standpipe or the sprinkler system or anything that compromises the fire alarm system. So they're there to warn residents, notify the fire department, and just, for safety reasons, we have to have them there by law, actually. Pursuant to Board Resolution 19-9, 25/24, the letter of award was issued for a 3-year term, which commenced November 19, 2019, and continued through November 18th of 2022. And there has been a prior contract capacity increase for a total amount of $18,073,682. And this contract capacity increase is required to increase the not-to-exceed amount in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the first one-year renewal option term. And that's it. Got any questions? Okay. Thank you so much.
Just for clarification, 4 and 5 are the same contract with FJC.
Right.
Okay, one was to ratify and pay for outstanding invoices, and then the other one is to continue the 1 year, to fund the 1 year renewal option term, yes. And it's by increasing by that not to exceed amount, that is not the not to exceed amount, okay, just for clarification. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Chair Russ, COO Trimble, distinguished board members. My name is Erenice Tavares, and I'm the Vice President for Public Housing Operations for the Borough of Manhattan. I have the pleasure this morning of presenting Public Housing Operations Division's 6 items 6 to 11. Before I begin, I just want to thank Chair Russ for his new vision, not only for the staff, but also for the residents. I think he made a major impact on public housing, and I know that the nation is watching, and we're going to do great moving forward. Thank you for that. Okay, items 6 and 7 seeks authorization to award 2 IDIQ contracts to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Arrow Steel Inc. The amount not to exceed for the first is $1,800,000 and the second is $5 million. These are 3 IDIQ contracts with 2-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. These contracts provide for the maintenance and repair of interior compactors citywide. The scope of work includes but is not limited to furnishing of all labor and materials, equipment, and ancillary items necessary to perform maintenance and repair of interior compactors located on authority grounds. Vendor name check dated October 5th, 2022 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Department with no issue found to preclude this award. The vendor commits to 13,725 Section 3 labor hours. Any questions? Item 8 seeks authorization to award an IDIQ contract in the amount not to exceed $4,400,000 to the lowest responsible bidder, Zoria Housing LLC. Please note that the first lowest bidder, Granite Environmental LLC, was deemed non-responsive for the failure to submit the required bid security, as outlined in the authority's bid documents. This 3-year contract with 2-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. This contract provides for facade repair and restoration. The scope of work includes and is not limited to labor, materials, equipment, tools, insurance, incidentals required to perform facade repair and restoration. A vendor name check dated May 26, 2022 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Department. No issue found to preclude award. The Office of the Inspector General agreed to extend the VNC's validity through January 31st, 2023 to facilitate board approval. This contract calls for 1,352 Section 3 labor hours. Any questions? Item 9 seeks authorization to award an IDIQ contract in the amount not to exceed $5 million to the lowest responsible bidder, Mount Olympus Restoration LLC. This is a 2-year IDIQ contract with a 1-year renewal option to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. The first lower bidder, United Industries Unlimited LLC, and second lowest bidder, Popular Services Inc., were deemed non-responsive for failure to submit the required bid bonds as outlined in the authority's bid documents. This contract provides for maintenance, painting of apartments, interior and exterior public spaces. Contract work includes furnishing of materials, equipment, insurance, and incidentals. Vendor name check was requested on September the 8th, 2022, and it is still pending. There will be no award until vetted by the Procurement Ethic and Vendor Responsibility Department and no issue found. The vendor commits to 1,250 Section 3 labor hours. Any questions? Item 10 seeks authorization to approve contract capacity increase to citywide IDIQ contract awarded to Fun Lab for maintenance, painting of apartments and interior and exterior public spaces, authorized by Board Resolution 12-630-10 for an initial 2-year term for 2 1-year renewal options. Contract capacity increase of the not to exceed amount is required in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term, which commenced on November 26, 2021 and is continuing through November 25th, 2023. This IDIQ contract provides for capacity for the painting of apartments in the event that the site-specific contract has been exhausted and the replacement contract is delayed. Vendor committed to 5,000 Section 3 labor hours. 5,000 Section 3 labor hours under this contract. Any questions? Item 11 seeks authorization to 1, ratify amendment to the requirement contract 1835990 awarded to Sahara Construction Corp. And 2, a contract capacity increase to the requirement contract for emergency mechanical pumping and cleaning, which did not require initial board approval. Notice to proceed was issued for a 2-year term which commenced December 21st, 2018 and continued through December 20th, 2021. This Manhattan Borough specific requirement contract provided for emergency mechanical pumping and cleaning. The scope of work included but was not limited to labor, materials, equipment, insurance, incidentals required for emergency mechanical pumping and cleaning at various developments in Manhattan. Please note that there have been 4 prior change orders, funding increases, and contract capacity for the amount of $2,698,629.73. The contract capacity is required to fund the remainder of the extended 12-month term from December 21st, 2021 to December 20th, 2022. The extension enabled the authority to continue to provide essential services in order to maintain the safe and sanitary environment for the authority's residents while the replacement contract was being procured. Vendor name check is now required. There was one Section 8 hire associated with this contract. Any questions?
There's three.
I just have a general question. It's
Section
just
three.
for my curiosity.
Yes, sir.
Whenever you get a contract, and we have the labor hours, and it's the same company, why is sometimes the disparity in the labor hours when it's the same company? For example, let's take the first two, right? You have the same company, but the disparity in the labor hours are different. Is there a reason for that?
I think there's a requirement for percentage for each contract. For example, number 6 is, hold on a sec, is 3,575 hours, which is 1,800,000, so it's a percentage of that. And the second one is for 10,000 hours, but the contract is significantly higher at 5 million.
So it's based on okay.
The percentage of the total, and I think Sergio could add to that. Oh, is that?
No, you answered it.
Thank you, sir.
Correct, and wherever you're still seeing a number
Right.
as a person, a hire versus labor hours, it's because the contract was executed prior to November 30th of 2020.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm
Any
not-
contract afterwards, so it doesn't have to do with the vendor, it has to do with when the contract was executed,
Okay.
okay? It's different rules.
So I understand the labor hours, cause you remember my pet peeve was, I wanted the night people to get the
Right.
job as opposed to, and then we changed it over to the hours. What I'm saying is, and now she explained it, is if it's the same company, why is there such a disparity in the labor hours? Not so much the amount of people, but the labor hours itself, and she just explained it to the value
Correct,
of
it's
the
driven by the
contract.
amount, and on your checklist, you see what the total is and what the percentage is in terms of what NYCHA will be doing in section 3, what the total hours are versus the section 3 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gonzalez, and thank you for ensuring that your residents always have a job.
Good morning. Vice Chair, if I may just also say in regards to section 3, scope and location have a big barrier basis also as to the amount. So that variability within the scope of the contract can have that as well. So just to add to Aaron's explanation. Good morning, Chair Russ, board members. My name is Sergio Paneke, I'm NYCHA's Chief Procurement Officer. I will be presenting items number 12 through 18 for your consideration. Item number 12 for your consideration seeks funding authorization in the amount of $10 million to enter into an agreement with Cuisine Croton Incorporated for the purchase and delivery of wooden kitchen cabinets. With the board's approval, the agreement would commence on January 2023 and continue for 3 years through January 2026. The authority, via the competitive solicitation, intends to award 6 contracts to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And in addition to Cuisine Croton, 4 additional vendors' awards are being presented to the board on this calendar as items 13, 14, 15, and 16 respectively. The 6th and final award for this solicitation will be presented to the board at the March board meeting. Cuisine Croton Corporation has provided NYCHA with approximately $15 million worth of materials over the past 4 years. Given this proposed contract is for goods, a section 3 plan is not required. A vendor name check was requested on August 10th of 2022 and is still pending. There will be no award to the vendor until a VNC is issued and no findings are identified to preclude award. Therefore, the Supply Management and Procurement Department respectfully recommends that the members approve this award resolution. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Item 13 for your consideration seeks funding authorization in the amount of $10 million to enter into an agreement with Big Apple Sign Corporation, a certified minority-owned company, for the purchase and delivery of wooden kitchen cabinets. With the board's approval, the agreement would commence on January 2023 and continue for 3 years through January 2026. Big Apple has provided NYCHA with approximately $2.8 million worth of materials over the past 4 years. Given this proposed contract is for goods, the section 3 plan is not required. A vendor responsibility memorandum from the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit was submitted to the Office of the Board Secretary on November 7th, 2022, citing no issues to preclude award, and that vendor is deemed responsible for a contract with Nitro. Therefore, the Supply Management and Procurement Department respectfully recommends that the members approve this award resolution. Are there any questions? Sir?
This is one of my silly questions, okay? We're in the cabinets, right, the delivery. Many of our people our residents are seniors, okay? And their dexterity is not as well as a younger person. And so these cabinets, do they come supplied with handles, or can the handles be put on them after they've been delivered?
There's a specific specification on the particular cabinets to the extent that those handles can be put on after delivery.
Right.
I'm sure operations can accommodate that.
Thank you.
We can look into that for you.
Thank you, CRO.
We'll look into the handles.
Okay.
If I could, we could confirm that the cabinets meet, the pool and the force meets the UFAS standards, Uniform Federal Accessibility Standards. And if we do have an issue, that could be part of a spec for some of the cabinets, doesn't necessarily have to be for all of them, but that has a requirement for people with disabilities, and it covers everything from type of handle to pounds of pressure to open. So it might be worth looking at those just to see if there's anything we should do in the cabinet stuff that links it up in a way that we hadn't thought about.
Another amazing expression of wisdom. Thank you. Amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that, I know that $10 they gave is gonna go a long way. So, but it's true, there's a whole set of standards for units that are accessible, including what it takes to open a window, what it takes to operate a cabinet. We should just check it out and then see, maybe we shift the specs so we can make sure that we don't wind up with a cabinet that's too hard to open in a senior.
No. Thank you.
14.
Item number 14 for your consideration, respectfully request board ratification of the contract award in the amount of $10 million with Aki Trading Corporation, a certified minority-owned company, for the purchase and delivery of wooden kitchen cabinets. With the board's ratification, the agreement would be funded for a period of 3 years, having commenced on November 2022 through November of 2025. Aki Trading has provided NYCHA with approximately $2.1 million worth of materials over the past 4 years. Given the proposed contract is for goods, the Section 3 plan is not required. A vendor responsibility memorandum from the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit was submitted to the Office of the Board Secretary on September 16 of 2022, citing no issues to conclude award with that vendor, deemed responsible for a contract award with NYCHA. Therefore, the Supply Management and Procurement Department respectfully recommends that the members approve this ratification. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Item number 15 for your consideration, respectfully request board ratification of a contract award in the amount of $10 million with GSA Direct Supply Incorporated for the purchase and delivery of wooden kitchen cabinets. With the board's ratification, the agreement will be funded for a period of 3 years, having commenced on December of 2022 through December of 2025. GSA has provided NYCHA with approximately $4.5 million worth of materials over the past 4 years. Given this proposed contract is for goods, the Section 3 plan is not required. A vendor responsibility memorandum from the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit was submitted to the Office of the Board Secretary on September 29, 2022, citing no issues to conclude award, and that vendor is deemed responsible for a contract award with NYCHA. Therefore, the Supply Management and Procurement Department respectfully recommends that the board members approve this ratification. Are there any questions? None. Item number 16 for your consideration, respectfully request board ratification of contract award in the amount of $10 million with Brown's Kit Corporation for the purchase and delivery of wooden kitchen cabinets. With the board's ratification, the agreement would be funded for a period of 3 years, having commenced on November of 2022 through November of 2025. This will be Brown Kit Corporation's first contract with the authority. Given this proposed contract is for goods, the Section 3 plan is not required. A vendor responsibility memorandum from the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit was submitted to the Office of the Board Secretary on October 6 of 2022, citing no issues to preclude award, and that vendor is deemed responsible for a contract award with NYCHA. Therefore, the Supply Management and Procurement Department respectfully recommends that the members approve this ratification. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Item number 17 seeks ratification of the contract capacity increase of $3,779,905.48 to the existing agreement with Mercury Paint Corporation. This contract capacity increase will fund the continued purchase and delivery of paint supplies during the remainder of the 1 year, 3 months, and 16-day term, which commenced on August 15 of 2022 and will continue through November 30th of 2023. If approved by the board, the new not to exceed amount will be $4,779,905.48. The significant increase in the utilization and demand under this contract is due to the continued leveraging of the pricing and terms derived from the New York City Department of Administrative Services competitive award and the adding of an additional 55 commodity line items to the catalog's original 45. Given this proposed contract is for bids, the section 3 plan is not required. Therefore, the Supply Management and Procurement Department respectfully recommend that the board members approve ratification. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Item number 18 seeks ratification of contract capacity increase of $2,040,639.95 to the existing agreement with JAD Corporation of America. The contract capacity increase will fund the continued purchase and delivery of compactor cartridge bags during the remainder of the 3-year term, which commenced on April 20, 2022 and continues through April of 2023. If approved by the board, the new not to exceed amount will be $9,623,519.65. Given this proposed contract is for bids, the section 3 plan is not required. Therefore, the Supply Management and Procurement Department respectfully recommends that the members approve this ratification. Are there any questions? Hearing none, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Good morning, board members, Chair. My name is Oliver Osterwin. I'm the Vice President for Project Management in the Asset and Capital Management Department. And before I present items 19 to 24, I'd like to also thank you, Chair, for your leadership and the change that you've imparted. I don't know if you remember, but I think it must have been one of your first days, you went to a site visit at Queensbridge, and I was there to accompany you.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming into the staff room, much dressed like you are now. And I was thinking, wow, this guy's ready to roll up his sleeves and get down to work. And I think you actually had your sleeves rolled up. And I was able to observe you during that day and how you were interacting with the staff, with the residents, and I just knew your priorities were compassion, collaboration, and communication.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. So I'll move on to item number 19, which seeks authorization to enter into
Oliver,
one.
excuse me, before you start number 19, can you
Oh.
please introduce your reports into the record?
So before I present this item, number 19 to the board, I will call into record the quarterly update on capital projects department expenditure and temporary suspension reports on elevator modernization, heating plant, and waste management contracts. And that should be the update on the asset and capital management department expenditure. Correction. So item 19 seeks authorization to enter into one IDIQ agreement with Lyra Program and Construction Management for program management services for elevator modernization, energy and capital improvement programs with an amount not to exceed $50 million with a $1 million minimum. The scope of work includes but is not limited to the submission of a project execution plan and program planning and administrative services, procurement coordination, management and contracting, construction management, financial analysis, management and reporting, metric management, oversight, coordination and quality control of design and construction, municipal filings, project closeout, and asset management. The contract term duration is 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options to be renewed automatically unless NYCHA provides written notice not to renew prior to the expiration of the term. And of the 100,000 total estimated hours, 25,000 are projected to be section 3, which represents 25% of the overall. Yes.
Oliver, is the system a new system, the project execution plan? Or is that a system we've had in place?
The program management system?
Yeah.
So we started that, I guess, 3 years ago, we hired 2 program management firms to help us manage a large influx of work that was kind of outside of our regular capital planning, our 5-year capital plan. And it allowed us not to staff up and adapt to the amount of work coming in. And we, back then, we hired them to manage our state program, the first state GDA that came in, the $450 million for boilers and elevators. And since then, we've been signing more GDAs with the state for more work. And it allows us to manage that work with staff outside of our Manchester staff.
So the project execution, the PEP is the
Yes.
same, that's the same as the project management.
So we assign a program or projects to this entity, this vendor, and they need to come up with a plan of how they're gonna execute that work for us.
And that's what we started 3 years ago, and this is just.
That is correct, and this is a new vendor that we're hiring, in addition to the 2 that we have. And we're looking to kind of follow a model that's similar to our design consultants and our construction management consultants, where we have a kind of a stable of vendors that we can draw from for work as it comes up.
Thank you.
So the next item is, it's 2 items in one, items 20 and 21. They seek authorization to approve contract capacity increases for 2 IDIQ JOC contracts for roof work at various citywide developments held by Adams European Contracting in the amount of $22.5 million and $14.5 million. The original contract values were $15 million, and the revised will be $37.5 million and $29.5 million respectively. The scope of work includes but isn't limited to removal and replacement of the existing roofing system and related work, including asbestos and lead abatement. The contract term duration is 2 years with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's discretion. And for the 2 contracts, we're projecting 2,080 and 1,560 Section 3 labor hours respectively. Any questions? I'll move on to item number 22, which seeks authorization to ratify a contract capacity increase in the amount of $8 million to the IDIQ JOC contract for general construction held by Gemco Electrical Contractors. The contract capacity increase is being presented to the board because the value exceeds 10% of the original contract value, and the original value is $50 million, and the revised will be $33 million. There has been 1 prior contract capacity increase of $10 million, which was exercised in 2021. The scope of work includes, but is not limited to, general construction work on an as-needed basis. The contract term duration is 2 years with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's discretion. 1 renewal option has been exercised and will continue through October of this year. Gemco's planning on hiring 7 Section 3 employees for this additional work. If there are no questions, I'll move on to item number 23, which seeks authorization to reject all bids for an IDIQ contract for gas piping replacement at various citywide developments. The estimate was $24,999,475. 3 bids were received. The lowest was Richards Plumbing. They were 34% below our estimate, and they withdrew their bids after clarifications with respect to the PLA requirements. The second was DDS, and they were deemed non-responsive for failure to submit the required bid bond. The third was Crescent Contracting. They submitted a bid which was 40% above the authority's estimate, and that was deemed excessive for this work. This IDIQ contract will be rebid. ANCM is assessing the IDIQ contract specifications to determine if any revisions are required to reflect current market conditions, and will rebid the contract accordingly.
Okay, sorry, I should know this, but how many developments are we talking about, and what would be the, I have three quick questions, and I apologize for not having done my homework on this one. How many developments, what will be the new timing of the new bid, and does this have anything to do with some of the current challenges that developments are going through, or those are separate problems?
So This is an IDIQ contract,
Right.
so it's really for all developments.
Okay.
It's not geographically limited, and it's specific to gas piping work. So
Right.
it'll address work that's stemming, for example, from the local L-152 inspections that we're performing right now. The rebid process and the repackaging will probably take, 3 to 6 months, I would say, at least. Would that answer your question?
Mostly, yeah.
So, I'm just gonna try to make this connection. I think the last gas out report, we had like 1,994 units without gas. We have bids that come in, and I recognize, my question is one that I've discussed with procurement and others before. Once we've tested the market, can we not negotiate with some of these bidders and save ourselves the pain of rebidding? Because the way the rules are structured, you can determine that you've had sufficient market competition, and that's a call Sergio should make. If there is a determination to that, and we support that, we can then engage in an alternative way of bringing these vendors on, because the gas pipe thing is just like, it's incredibly inconvenient not to have gas to cook if you're in the unit. And the faster we can get the gas back on, which to me means if we're saying, well, we gotta spend another 3 to 6 months to repackage and go out. I'm not saying we shouldn't study what happened, but I wanted to ask the question, could you sit with procurement and take a look to see if there's another legitimately expeditious way to secure at least one of these vendors so we'd have somebody in the stable beyond the ones we have now?
Absolutely, so I know we've had this conversation
Yeah,
before.
and I don't have a problem rejecting the bids, I mean, it's what the state law requires. But once we reject the bids, can we think about what we do on the back end? Because the federal rules at least, and I don't know, I think this is federal money, give you the flexibility to do that when you confirm that the market's been tried and this is what you got back. So we should play around with that. I don't wanna do anything that, if you can't find the support for it, obviously. But, read the Part 200 rule and see if we can apply that some way to these situations. And the only reason I think we should extend this is because it is gas. And when you can't pick up any of the papers or other things, but it's just a matter of not being able to do the cooking and so forth. So think about that and see what procurement says, and see if we could expedite it, at least one of these vendors in some way.
Since we first brought this up, I've actually directed my staff to get backhoes, we've started doing that.
Okay.
Other contracts,
All right,
lump
good.
sum contracts.
Yeah.
But also for this particular work, we do have an existing contract that's
Right.
still active.
Right, I do know
And
that.
we actually increased that capacity, I think, last board.
Yeah.
last 16.
Yeah,
So-
but I like having a choice.
For sure.
Yeah, I just don't like being locked into a couple of, but think about that, and if there's any way to salvage any one of these that you guys could, I would support that, but I just wanted to raise it again.
We'd have to look at the one that was over.
Yeah, right, it's a
See
lot.
how we can, it's a lot over, and see how far we can get them done. It's typically very.
Right, no, I know, it's not an easy thing,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying it, because you could negotiate and then not find anybody and say, okay, heck with that.
Right.
But at least we gave it a shot to try to cut the time down.
For sure, thank you. Any other questions? I'll move on to item number 24, which seeks authorization to reject all bids for Nadia Q. Jock for general construction at various citywide developments. The estimate was $15 million and 4 bids were received. The lowest was Genco. They were deemed non-responsive for failure to submit a signed letter of assent pursuant to the PLA, to the PLA terms. The second was Granite Environmental, deemed non-responsive for failure to satisfy the requisite prior work experience. And the remaining 2 were 28% and 73% above the authority's cost estimate and deemed excessive. This IDIQ contract will be rebid. ANCM is assessing the IDIQ contract specs to determine if any revisions are required to reflect current market conditions. and will rebid this contract accordingly. Any questions for this? Okay, that concludes my items. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks, all.
Number 25?
Good morning, my name is Young Soo. I'm presenting on behalf of Joyce and Brand, Senior Vice President for Capital Programs. This is regarding Sandy. Item number 25 seeks authorization to approve a contract capacity increase for the agreement with Curtis and Ginsberg Architects for architecture and engineering services at various developments of the Sandy Recovery Program by $600,000. The original the award amount was $6,273,500. At the time the contract was procured, it was really not possible to have a firm construction schedule because the full scope was really not known at the time. And so it was stipulated that the design firms base their fees for construction services on an assumed 18-month schedule at a time, knowing that there would be change in the durations after the construction contract is bid. The estimated construction schedule is now expected to continue through to March 13th, 2024. The extra $600,000 being requested now will cover all the design services until the end of that construction time. Because this is a capacity increase, a vendor name check is not required, and a revised Section 3 plan was submitted.
I don't know what's happening.
Are there any questions?
Application, the term goes to March 12th, 2024.
March 12th, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, board members. My name is Dan Green. I'm the Senior Vice President for Healthy Homes at NYCHA. And so my department oversees lead paint, asbestos, mold, and also water related issues. Chair Russ, I also want to just say thank you for all the support you've given to our department. It's been terrific. You really tried to understand these technical challenges with these items, and I really, really appreciate it. So best of luck in the future, thank you.
Dan, thanks, because one of the first things you told me to go do was look at a lead white dust test, so.
I like those kind of things.
And then I had a real appreciation for how hard I said, holy cow, this is a lot of work, so thanks.
It's a lot of work, but I pleased to report that our lead abatement program for our residents is in full swing right now. This week alone, we've relocated 45 families to abate their apartments in full to make them lead-free. Next week, we expect to have about 60, so we're just really rolling along with lead abatement. And I don't think we could have got to that point without your leadership, so exciting things to come. Today, I'm here to talk about asbestos, not lead. So I have a series of contracts all related to asbestos work. But before I do that, I also want to move into the record our temporary suspension report for mold and ventilation related contracts into the record.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item 26 is the award of an IDIQ contract for asbestos abatement and replacement of vinyl asbestos floor tiles in move-out apartments. It is a citywide contract. The source of funding is operating, and the amount is $10 million. And the vendor that we are awarding this to is New York Environmental Systems, Inc. The first lowest bidder for this IDIQ is deemed non-responsive for failing to submit the proper documentation. So this contract to the awarded entity is a contract for 2 years for 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. Sorry, I have new glasses, I'm trying to adjust to them right now to get the proper distance.
Dan, it's
Challenge right now.
excuse me, Dan, it's initial 3-year with 2.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm squinting with glasses. It feels very awkward. In the total section 3 labor hours is 29,640 for this contract. Item number 27, these are all going to sound very similar, is the award for an IDIQ for asbestos abatement and replacement of floor tiles in move-out apartments. The dollar amount of this contract is also $10 million, and this is also being awarded to New York Environmental Systems, Inc., and for the same terms. And the projected Section 3 labor hours for this contract is 29,640. The item 28 is an award of an indefinite delivery or indefinite quantity or IDIQ contract for asbestos abatement and replacement of floor tiles in move-out apartments. And this is being awarded to the firm named Abatement Unlimited, Inc. The first lowest bidder for this IDIQ is deemed non-responsive for failing to submit the proper documentation. And this is a 3-year contract with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. And the total Section 3 labor hours is 6,300. Item 29 is also another IDIQ contract for asbestos abatement and replacement of floor tiles in move-out apartments for the same dollar amount of $10 million. And also being awarded to Abatement Unlimited, 3-year term with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's discretion. And also Section 3 labor hours is 6,300. Moving on to the next category, also though asbestos related, is an authorization for a contract capacity increase in the amount of $2,125,819.92 to the firm CAM, who performs asbestos investigation, project management, and asbestos abatement project monitoring, which is air monitoring during the course of the abatement activities. So this was previously authorized by Board Resolution 29-929-9 for an initial 2-year term with 1-year renewal option. And this is to increase the not to exceed amount for this contract, given the amount of asbestos work we're currently performing in the authority. And item 31 is also an authorization for a contract capacity increase to requirement contract number 201-3827, which was awarded to New York Environmental Systems, Inc. And the amount of the amendment is $2,950,568. And we're seeking authorization for this contract capacity increase for this requirement contract for asbestos abatement and floor tile replacement into move-out apartments. This was approved as an emergency and therefore did not require board authorization. This item was subsequently amended for a 2-year term with a 1-year renewal option to increase, and this is to increase the not to exceed amount. In order to fund the continued provision of services, asbestos abatement services during the remainder of the 1-year renewal option term, which commenced November 20th, 2022, and is continuing through November 19th, 2023. So any questions about asbestos?
Yes. So, I understand that I'm not sure whether it was the lead or the asbestos, that the acceptable level was changed, and you have to go back and back to these units. So, in going back, is this an actual retesting or is it a look-see?
Oh, so that's for lead. So the lead standard was changed from 1.0 micrograms per square centimeter to 0.5 micrograms per square centimeter in the city of New York. So that went into effect December 2021, and it is a full lead inspection. You have to redo the entire inspection because you have to use a new piece of equipment that was approved by HUD, and it's calibrated differently than the previous test. So you have to retest all components with the gun and also with paint chip analysis for appropriate types of components. So these are full-on inspections. And then what we do for our abatement is we take the positives from, if it was previously tested at 1.0, we'll take the positives from that report, we'll take any additional positives from the 0.5 inspection, and we abate everything, 1.0 and 0.5, so that the apartment is lead-free upon the completion of that work. And we do that testing at move-outs, and we do it, we did about 30,000 last year, which were the child under 6 units. This year, we're gonna be doing about 30,000, which are non-child under 6 units, and then probably about 10,000 next year, so.
Thank you.
And just to follow up on the, I realize it's a lead question, but can you tell, based on the units you've done, what the new standard's triggering in terms of additional work? Do you have any sense of or feel for that?
Yeah, it's definitely triggering eventual, additional work. So in terms of like units testing positive under the previous standard, about 23% of the 23 to 25% of the, it shifts a little bit, tested positive at 1.0. That number has gone up over 30%. It's probably gonna come down to about 33% that test positive. But then within the unit itself, more surfaces test positive, so we are finding a lot more walls that are positive at the new standard, and that is contributing to higher abatement costs when we do the work, because an apartment might have just had like a window casing positive at 1.0, but then like when you have it at 0.5, all of a sudden you have walls in kitchens and bathrooms in particular that are testing positive, so it is causing additional scope in the abatements.
Okay. My last question is, on the asbestos, is this drawing out of the city money that's attached to the agreement? It says operating, but then next to it, it says, are we drawing that money down from there, or
It's not
accessing
coming
that?
out of the agreement, so yeah, it's
Well, we
coming-
have the whole action plan for the city, and I didn't know if it was.
Yeah,
part of
no,
that or
not for,
it's
not for, well, for lead it will, lead
For
is
lead
coming,
it is, but
lead is
not-
switched over, everything,
Alright.
pretty much every activity
Okay.
related to abatement and extra testing, we're now switching over to city capital.
Got it.
Asbestos gets some money for move out, if it's a vacant apartment, we do receive some money for
Okay.
asbestos related work, but
Alright.
if not, it's either gonna be
It's gonna
operating
be
or federal capital, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yes. Okay, thank you.
Chair, 31 items were presented for approval. Do I have a motion to approve all 31 items?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in
Yeah, it's
favor?
gonna be in the record.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. That being said, our next meeting will be on March 23rd. February 23rd of 2023. And so do we have, having no other business, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Huh?
I sent you something, they just had a